So just a note on the case studies, I got some great feedback via email and also comments on the channel. If you want to know what I'm talking about, there's videos up there called Case Study 1, Case Study 2, and we talked about what happens when someone was in a bit of a drawdown, but they had two winning positions on in their portfolio. What would they do in that moment of time? Especially how would they feel? And so it's not for me to say what's the right answer. I think there are best practices for sure. There'll be more to come on those case studies. I think they're going to evolve. There seems to be some good engagement. The audience, you all seem to like, being not challenged, but asked like for developmental purposes, like what would you do? How would you handle yourself? I think in terms of best practices, the thing that you would want to do is to just continue to follow your rules. In the short run, because those aren't the exact numbers, but it does come from some of my own trading that I used to teach. And there was a time when I was trading very, very well. But as fate would have it, although I stayed with my winners, and the winners ended up being at that moment of time as much as 20-25% of the equity in my account was still down 14%. And so I had to use all of my resources to make sure I didn't do the stupid thing like pull my flowers and let my weeds bloom. I had to stick with my knitting, stay with my winners, add to the winners as I would, and make sure I was taking consistent small losses over that period of time. So I think that's best practices is to find some way in your own calculus when you have winning trades on to keep them, right? Adjusting your protective stops along the way, letting the winners go. And those winners, it was like a 50K rollover account. And the winners went from, in the first, time I was in the position, it started out small. I was up 5K and then I was up 10K, and the account was, like I said, down. I was up 10K in the position. In other words, there was 10,000 of unrealized gains, but the account itself was down 14%. And then it went, I remember it very distinctly, over like a 1 to 2 month window of time, because doesn't really work out on the first of the month to the end of the month, but somewhere within that 1 to 2 month window, I went from being down, 14% to being up, 20%. And so that's just the way God wanted it. Like, it was an early test, but I had to do everything in my power to make sure that I didn't do the hair trigger response, or the thing that would make me, make me want to do stupid things with my money in that short period of time. Now, that position eventually went on to be worth, upwards of $30,000 before I got stopped. I eventually got back in at higher prices with twice the size. I go through the whole thing in the case study, and bury it that way, so it would be interesting to see. So I tried to allude to that here. So what I'm trying to say is that I think there might be a right answer for each and every one of you, how you would handle it. Ultimately, though, you don't really want to change your world and turn your world upside down just because you're in a bit of a drawdown. You have to have ample cash available to take existing trades. There are ways to take haircuts, but ultimately the nature of this beast is that you want to let your winners run for as long as possible. So I appreciate everyone's feedback and comments. If you'd like to see a particular case study, especially on trades that you would take home overnight or over the weekend, leave them in the comments or reach out through email, and we'll get on it that way. Wish you a great weekend. Watch these videos here.